Hello and welcome. My name is Radha. I'm the founder of Radha Publishing House. We curate multidimensional books that awaken the heart, invigorate the soul, and create meaning in people's lives. And today we have a very special guest, Neil Gaur. Hello, Neil.
Hey Radha, so good to be here.
So wonderful to have you. Today we're going to talk about Infinite Cosmic Records and this collaborative project that you are part of.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. The Infinite Records, that was one of the coolest things I actually did, was having that session with Maya and just like, because I don't really do too many sessions and have regressions and things like that. I do it every now and then. So I jumped on it because not only do I want to write and be able to connect a story that seems like a fictional story, but it really isn't because it's actually a guided journey, a shamanic journey in my own consciousness, almost like a regression where I got to tap into different elements of myself, right? And then to create a whole story on it, honestly, it was probably one of the most fun things I've ever wrote. So I'm like so happy to be part of it.
Yay. And your experience, when I read it, I was like, wow. Can you just tell us a little bit about one of your doors? Because they were
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, and I wish I remembered all of it. I should have listened back before, but I do remember. Um, okay, I remember when I was going down into the doors, some of them wouldn't have handles on it. They were really like just weird types of doors. One would just open, I think, and then but the one that really I remember the most was when I got out into this landscape and there was a boat and water going over to this mountain, and on top of it there was a UFO.
Wha-
And I need to listen back to it because I didn't listen back enough in a way that I was really focusing on what experiences I was getting from it and what lessons maybe it had because I was, focused on writing the story afterwards. But I remember I went up to the ship, I went into this entrance way. There was two different beings there. I got taken inside. And it was really beautiful because I have a photographic memory in many ways, but when it comes to regressions, I don't really have that many visions, When
Mhm.
people have experiences that connect with star beings, that doesn't come to me that often. So the fact that we had this experience and it was just fully tangible the whole time and really was like a vivid experience was incredible. And then the other part that really stuck with me was when I was leaving, I was going up the stairs to whatever the 0 point area was. I came out of the doors and then I was going up the stairs to the light, and I think that was when I was like coming back. And every step I would take, like I was this white person from looked like medieval times
Mhm.
with a mustache, and every step I would take, armor would come onto my body. And
Oh,
when I finally got out, I was fully armored like a medieval knight,
that is so
and it
cool.
was like reclaiming my knighthood, I guess. Yeah.
Wow, what was the feeling when you had all that when you looked down and you realized you had this full armor on? What did it feel like? Would it take you back to that time or
Yeah. Well, first I didn't when that was happening to me, I was really excited because I knew it wasn't me trying to create this. It was just happening.
yeah.
So I already knew that this is real. I'm not trying to imagine anything. And when I came out like that, it was an empowering moment. I really felt like, you know, not only a spiritual warrior right now, but this warrior energy. I've had a regression recently as well, and a plant medicine journey where I saw about 20 to 30 of my lives, and
Wow.
there's a lot of warrior in a lot of them, and I have a huge connection because I was born in England,
Hmm.
so I always felt that there was something with the fact that I was born in England for a cosmic reason, and it has to do with my past lives there. So I've always had this deep connection to like the medieval times and pre-medieval times in England. So when that was happening, I noticed that it was kind of like a reclaiming of who I was back then, and then coming out and emerging and kind of shifting through a lot of the insecurities and the doubts and everything like that in order to be fully immersed into the light as a warrior. That was like the symbolism behind it all.
That is
Hmm.
so beautiful. I have a group called Warriors of Light, And because I
Mm,
love that. I think we're all coming back to owning our inner light warrior at this
yeah,
time, you know? I just think that's beautiful. So you've had all these past lifetimes where you're a warrior, but now
yeah,
you're it feels like the warrior work that you're doing is it's different. It's, it's like intellectual, it's spiritual, it's metaphysical,
yeah,
and it's through portal of ascension, which
yeah.
reaches and touches thousands of people. Do you want to just touch on the work that you do very quickly?
Hmm. So Portal to Ascension, we become a conscious, to like put it briefly, is a conscious event production company. And what
Mhm.
that means is we deal with creating events, gathering experiences for people on every level of production that we can. Whether it's like we have live streaming services for spiritual conscious events, and you can just hire us for that. Or if it's one of our 110 events we do a year, which are retreats, tours, webinars, workshops, summits. So the intention, the goal is, and we are doing it as we speak, is to not leave any type of production untouched when it comes to creating content for the upliftment of humanity. So we've established our online summits, webinars, all that. We have live events, and then we also have conferences. Next year, we're taking two groups of people to Egypt. We're going to Glastonbury. So at this point, the beyond being a conscious event production company, what we are is we are a platform for the re-educating and remembering of humanity. We
Mm.
have been in this outdated matrix system for quite a while now, and within that we have been educated from birth, really, and then even indoctrinated in ways that aren't beneficial for ourselves or the rest of humanity, and creates a downward fractalization of more trauma and wound. We're just like perpetuating it all. So what we're trying to do is throw a wrench in that and help, like, and then hopefully take people back to really focusing on what really matters, and the pathway to that,
Mhm.
extraterrestrials, UFOs, new technology, is within, So it's like by going within, we're creating a beautiful world without. And that's kind of just like a brief summary on what we do.
It's incredible. I'm a huge fan of your, whole body of work. It's ongoing. And
Hmm.
I just think it's so important to have these outlets and platforms, and also you're hitting it at different angles, so with the productions and the events, like that's kind of unheard of. So it's incredible, it's incredible. So going back to the Infinite Cosmic Records, which doorway was it that you saw the ship on top of the mountain? Was it a mountain or was it
Yeah, it was like a hill, like a green hill with a ship on top of it. Yeah.
really?
Uh-huh. So the doorway, I think it was the last door.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there was like a building up of things, and I don't remember any of the other doors. I just remember the UFO thing. I remember myself being the knight, right? And yeah, it was just really interesting having to get in the boat, and I had to like row
Oh,
myself even to get there.
it's interesting how you have to go through journeys when you're in the Infinite Cosmic Records. Like
I know,
it's
huh?
a journey, like in dreams, sometimes you'll have those journeys and then it's one struggle after the next. But um,
Right.
and also in dreams, things just drop right in front of you. Like, it's one beat to the next and it can change completely.
Yeah.
You find that
Well,
was,
that's very interesting because
yeah.
it's almost like my linear mind, because I was awake and aware. I get there and I see the scene, okay?
Uh-huh.
And then my linear mind that's awake and aware needs to figure out how to get to that location. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, what do you see? Open the door. Okay, this is what I see. Okay, now that I just established the scene, you're telling me to get over there. Well, there's a boat, right? I think that's how it works.
Yeah. So did you know how to row a boat before? Or is this the
Yeah,
first time?
I know, right? I've never rode a boat like that before, so
That's incredible. I feel like with the Infinite Cosmic Records, well, for me, in my experience, they've touched on a lot of past lives, which is really cool because I think when I go in there, I always feel like I'm accessing a piece of my soul fragment in
uh-huh.
some place because sometimes they get trapped in other timelines or lifetimes. So did you
Ooh.
did you feel that way at all or?
Yeah, 100% felt that, and I feel that a lot when I go to these places and I see things that I forgot or don't know about. And technically, I feel we're given and we see what we need to see. It's not like we don't need to see it, like, we're given what we need to see, and if that's gonna empower us, that means on some level, it's almost like a fractal part of ourselves that we need to reintegrate with,
That makes
right?
so much sense. It's like it feels like this lifetime we're going through and we're like, we're fast tracking too, but we're collecting like so many of our pieces of our fractalization and then integrating it. And
Mhm,
that's why I love energy healing and, journeys like that and infinite cosmic records because I feel like it's a journey, but it's not too overwhelming. Like, sometimes with plant medicine, we feel like, whoa, like it could be a little too intense
yeah,
at times. But this, even though there is like that intensity to it, because there's moments where I felt like it was really intense, but then I just breathed. And then I was
mhm,
brought back. But I've encountered places where like you were faced fear in order to transmute and dissolve that, kind of like dissolve that
mhm,
architect, around it.
right, right.
Did you encounter anything like that in your journey?
So with the fear, okay, definitely frustration
Mhm,
and anxieties came up. And in the beginning, I already was doubting that I could even see anything because I don't really see things in those experiences.
mhm.
So I'm a skeptic, in many ways. So when I'm experiencing these things, my question in the beginning was, is this my mind? Is this my mind? I'm just making this up. So it took a while for me to let go of that. And so during that, not only did I like, have a great experience, but it was almost like a modality to help me let go of that fear that I'm just making it up and start trusting myself. You know?
Ooh.
So yeah, that's what I started doing is trusting myself more and things became more tangible. But definitely it was more like kind of like a frustration and anger. And almost when I started, like my brain immediately was like, when is this gonna be over? Because you're just making it up. Right. And then it went deeper. And I gotta say, because I just did another past life regression a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
this was freaking huge. Like I saw like a planet where I was going into multiple portals, and I was long story short, one of my incarnations was in this planet where I was wearing like full body like Iron Man suit, and I would go through portals, and I would go and visit myself in other realities incarnated. And as I would visit myself in these other realities, I was collecting data for the central mind of this planet that was dying and the data of my other incarnations, what I did. And every person part of this program would go and visit themselves too and give data to the central mind. And I had this download that my identity crisis in this life of who I am came from the fact that in this incarnation, I saw myself so many times as different people. I freaking didn't know who I was anymore.
Uh-huh.
And I gotta say, the Infinite Cosmic Records experience is
Mhm.
what set me up for the trust that I had at this one. It really gave me the foundation because it was the most tangible, the most vivid experience I've had for any of that. So now that I know I could do that, it builds up the trust within myself to know that I could go further next time.
That is so cool. I love that.
Yeah,
I always think that too, like when we step into these arenas, it's a great mystery.
yeah.
And really what the mystery we're unraveling is also ourselves too. Like I
Mm,
always feel like we're building a bridge between ourselves and our other selves and bringing healing to that. And then that does bring back more trust because a lot of times we've had really traumatic lifetimes
yeah.
where we felt we used to trust and then we felt betrayed or something happened that was out of our control and we felt like, oh my gosh, I can't trust. Or sometimes the fear of seeing, like, sometimes people have the fear of seeing like what's in front of them because they're afraid of their power, because you're very, we're all very powerful, we all have more abilities than we give ourselves credit for. And
Mm,
once we unlock that, something shifts within us, that feeling of like self-trust. But yeah, I used to be so afraid to see. Like that'd be
mm,
like I'd be like, no, no, I'd block myself from seeing because I had fear.
yeah.
And I think being actually facing that fear like over and over, it actually does something incredible. But and some
Right,
people
right.
have been felt always felt like being like like psychic or third eye, it's like that's dangerous because of persecution lifetimes too. So all those things, you know what I mean? Is
Yeah.
part of awakening, and that's so
Seriously.
exciting. Though.
I can relate to that because, especially during plant medicine, that's where I get the fear of seeing because you know you're gonna see something. And actually, the first 4 times I did ayahuasca, I didn't see anything because I wasn't ready to see it. My fear basically already communicated with ayahuasca, saying he doesn't want to see, even though he says he does.
Oh,
You
that
know?
hurt him.
Yeah, I know. And then, but the download I got was it was chiseling away.
Yeah.
Something was happening. Right?
I think you're the only person that didn't see anything in.
I know, right? And then, like, yeah, it was like, then I started seeing, but it was really just a huge fear. Where
Yeah.
am I going to go? What am I going to see? You know?
Mhm.
So just
That's
coming to terms with that. Because ultimately, like, I'm like, oh, what I'm going to see? It's your self doubt and your own self hate or whatever it is saying, like, oh my God, I'm afraid to see who I really am, what I am, what I'm capable of. And then, even though I've had that fear many times before, a lot of experiences, I'm always reminded during it and afterwards, there's nothing to be scared of. It's never ever said you're a bad person and you
yeah.
shouldn't let yourself. You
You should have looked. I know. So funny. I think
know?
that's so reassuring that you say that. Like whatever someone's path is on, or if they want to try the infinite cosmic records, like don't be afraid. Like step into it knowing that you're safe and you're held,
Right.
especially it also depends like what kind of facilitator that you have, whether it be an ayahuasca journey or infinite cosmic records or a
Yeah.
past life regression. Those things make a difference,
Mhm.
like being set up. What was it? So, what would you say was like working with Maya? Did you enjoy it or?
Yeah, I loved working with Maya. I just like Maya in general. I interviewed her not too long ago, and she's just an incredible soul. Uh, the way she facilitated the whole experience, I love. I have just nothing but praises for her. She's amazing.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
that's beautiful. So, what do you think people would get from reading a book like this? I mean, just
Yeah,
why is something like this important? Why do you think it's important to share these messages that people
right.
their own personal journey?
Yeah. Well, it's a very unique experience. This is a book that is designed to uplift and help us as we shift into this new reality and this higher octave of existence, this dimension. This is one of the many books that are out there for that. However, this is very unique because it's not like here's the facts and the information for you to quantify. This isn't let me teach you about your relationship skills. This is all of that encompassed in a story that seems like a fictional story, but it really isn't because it's a journey through somebody's consciousness, you
Wow.
know? And so you're literally getting all of these lessons of the universe, past lives, incarnations, what we can be, our potential, but it's said in a way that if you didn't know that it was actually some session of someone's consciousness, you think you'd be reading one of the best fictional books out there. But it's really like a deep dive into that realm. So yeah, you should read it because it makes it more fun than just like reading how to communicate with your partner. This is like a lot more fun. And then if you're ready within this community in spirituality, you just read between the lines in every single step of the way. What is the lesson within this? What is experiencing this? Why is this happening for this individual? So that's why I feel it's a really great book.
That's so beautiful. That's so eloquently explained. And I think I really enjoy reading about other people's experiences and listening to them, in
Hmm.
interviews too, because I feel like we can learn so much from each other. That's how we're going to heal is knowing that we're not the only one that went through A or Z,
Hmm.
like we all have something in common actually. And we can learn from other people's journeys too, their wisdom. Like, computers learn from us all the time. We need to learn from each other too,
Yeah, seriously. Uh-huh.
gotta
Yeah,
catch up.
what I get a lot of at a lot of experiences like the Infinite Cosmic Records and others is I get this realization that I also was contributed towards the darkness,
Hmm.
you know, and that's something that's really huge in everything that I do in PTA. Really, divine neutrality is what I really like embody with our platform, and part of that is realizing that you can't really judge the darkness, and a lot of us were actually there to created it. Like my first regression I ever had, I had this whole awareness that I was actually one of the people in Egypt that created the fallen system, and I'm here on Earth to correct what I did back then. You know, so that was something that I don't know people might get out of reading my experience there, but just realizing that both sides of the coin are still working for the one.
That's really beautiful. I mean,
Mhm.
that I think there's so much power in understanding that we've had many incarnations and many experiences for the purpose of our soul growth. You
Yeah,
know, that's at the end of the day, that's what it's about. And now we're going back and correcting, we are all doing that. Like none of us have been like saints in all of our lifetimes. To think that way is like ridiculous.
right.
We've been the oppressor at one point, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
you're
now,
right.
but now we want to come back and bring correction and contribute. And I think that's why I think sometimes the most passionate people who are doing the most, they're part of that correction. Like
Yeah.
their souls like gung ho, this time we're gonna do it. I'm calling all my brothers and sisters, like just like what you're doing, and look what the
Mhm.
beauty that you're creating in this world. So
Thanks.
it's so inspiring. And I say don't ever be afraid to look, to know more about who you are and why
Yeah.
you're here. We all have a
Mm,
greater purpose, and I'm just so happy that we get to come together like this and to share.
yeah.
So thank you so much, Neil, for
Yeah,
coming on
pleasure.
today, and thanks for being part of this book project. And everyone, I'll put Neil's information below. Be sure to check out Portal to Ascension. He's doing so much, and you don't want to miss it. Until next time,